Hi guys, hope everything is good with you. I'm doing this video as I had some question about people getting their Snipe 2 and having some issue either building or screwing and unscrewing the wing. For me it was as well a kind of nightmare, but hopefully I had great people such as Jean Bernard who helped me on the phone in France. But for some of you, apparently you're not on the airfield or you cannot have some feedback from other owners. So let's get it on with the hardest part for me on the build and actually the use of the Snipe 2, which is this plane I love. It flies really great, but how to take out the wing when you go out on holidays, and if you don't keep your Snipe 2 built all the time, which I would recommend. But as most of you, I have to travel with either my kids or take my car to go on locations I like to go. So to take out the wing, those are the knobs, the screws that are given. Pretty simple, straightforward. So you take them off. Once this is done, you have to be very careful and basically have some flap down in order to have the screw straight facing to you. So you have to pull a little bit the flaps down and you'll see the screw facing to you. It's kind of complicated to show on the camera, but you'll see it right through it. And if the wing was well built, you will have no problem, like, you know, being facing the control horn to you, which was not my case. I had to rebuild 2 times the horns. First time I did with CA, second time I did with long epoxy, 2 hours. So I would be sure on the actual knob facing, and it was not done perfectly. I still have like something like 0.5 millimeters wrong on this knob, which makes basically the horn not straight. So when unscrewing the wing, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to have some flaps down and unscrew the knobs. The hard part is when you have to put it on. So this is what I'm going to show you right now for those who ask some questions. Before that, I'll give you my advices on the control, the knobs to be built. When you build the wing and you're on the phase of placing those horns inside the ailerons, you have to make sure that you're basically having the knob at the very end part of the aileron. So this has to be like, it has to be really like nearly touching your finger. It says that you have to be a certain millimeter, but I did it with my own measurement and it was wrong. When I glued it first time with the CA, what happened is that it went perfectly. I followed the instruction, and when I wanted to put it on the fuselage, what happened is it was too far apart one to the other and it wouldn't get in. So be sure that once it's in place, before gluing it, you can actually put the wing and have the 2 knobs facing to you. So this is the first part. Be very careful that you're at the very end of the aileron. Second thing, so when you have to build the wing and put it in, basically just put the horns, the screws, like facing you. Try to catch them and have them like perfectly facing you. And once it's done, just start with the first one. Try to have the aileron with a small degree down and screw. It has to catch right away. If it doesn't, it means that it's not facing it and you're doing it wrong. So it's not an easy catch. to have. As you can see, I'm not having it the first time. Once it's done, don't go until the end. Go and take the second screw. Try to face the wing as much as possible to the fuselage. And screw it in. As you can see, I'm moving the aileron with my finger because it really has to. Like this second one is the one I said that was a little bit too far away from the, like it's not facing perfectly the hole. So this is the, like, for me it's the most painful part, is to have it screwed in, and once it's done, you just go until the end. So what I try to do is have it inside. Most of the time it works, and it's done. So once it's done, I've seen, like, one of you asked me, like, did you have the problem of breaking the screw? No. The only thing is that you have to make sure that once you've reached, so as you can see here, I haven't screwed them until the end. I'm not sure I'm showing it right, but it's not screwed until the end. Both are screwed in. I push the wing inside. I screw my two wing bolts, and then I finish it by going in, and as soon as you feel it stops, leave it there. It won't move. Never has, until like the 3 weeks I've been having fun with it. So just turn it until you feel that it's done. It stops, and don't force it. If you force it, those screws and those bolts are made with very light iron, and it will break for sure. And there's no reason it would move. Like, once it's in, you have, you know, really little movement that you can expect from the aileron. Okay, so last tip that for me was kind of a pain, and you have to make sure of everything being built right. And this is from the push rods that are inside. I don't know if we call it push rods though, but basically the mechanism that you have inside. For the two servos that will, you know, push the ailerons, make sure that you have a space that's long enough here, because for some reason I would need to add a hole to have it at the 10mm AST on the instruction manual. I didn't have either the will or the knowledge to do that. I know it's pretty simple, but I didn't want to redo a hole and screw that and have to reuse another you know, servo head. But if you use the given servo lead that are, you know, basic with the KST, for instance, the smallest one, what happens is that it's going to touch the second, this is the second hole basically, it's going to touch the plate, and it will make some friction when you'll have to move the aileron. So this is a first part of friction. The other part of friction is that the holes inside that are made, ready-made, are not, well, on my build they were not big enough, meaning that I had to lightly use some sandpaper to have a bigger hole and make sure that you would have no friction on the knobs behind and on the servo. Okay, so this is the G part, yeah. And that you can move the, like, as you can hear it, there's no friction here. The movement is free, it's just like pushing the servo, but there's no friction. So first thing is make sure you have made a long enough hole on the plate so that this iron part would not add friction, and on the back that the hole is big enough. And last thing, it's also this is an important fact also apparently, is that you have to spend some time playing with those stuff. So this is basically inside the plate, and it's not super smooth. So basically what I did is, once I've had the right position, the right length, you take them off, make sure that the hole is big enough. Also, you have to rework the hole here on the servo head arm, and this little part that's just clipped in the plate. For some of the pilots that also do helicopter, apparently they have the same issue. Make sure that this goes freely. So in order to do that, what I did is basically I turned it for hours and hours, watching a movie, taking it off for sure from the fuselage. I took it off once I had the right length and all the measurement were right. I took this off and I turned this for hours and put a little bit of oil here so it would not, make any kind of friction, because apparently if you don't work on that, what happens is that it will make some slight change on the neutral part, on the neutral position of the wing, and your neutral will never be like straightforward. You'll always have a little décollage. So that's it. That's all I had to say about the build of that plane. What I was talking about, having the holes bigger, I was talking about those holes. So I had that of carbon that I had to remove with sandpaper on both sides, and on the side as well I had to sand a little bit so you would have no friction once it's inside, once it's fixed, once the wing is fixed, that the horns would not touch those parts. And this on the servo part, make sure that the holes are big enough, so just so that the metal plate here, when you put it in place, you don't have to force too much to clip it in. So rework the hole a little bit to have it bigger, a little bit bigger, not too big, if not it will float inside, but just at the right size. And for you to make sure that it's perfectly understood, when I talked about the plate having a long enough hole, as you can see, the hole here is going a little bit further back because of this metal part when it goes back, you can see here there's a little movement on the plate, but it's really light, and on the other side as well. I hope it will help some of you, and have good flights. It's really, from far until now, one of the best plane I had in the launch, and especially in the flying field, especially when you have some amazing field like this you can find. I've been flying here tonight, as I did most of my holidays. Hope you have a great time, guys, and hope it helps some of you.